Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Gameweek 26 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Late Riser and Pras. 8 points up on a negative 8, Pras. Flying.
It's now 7, man. Watkins lost his point. But no, I think I felt so dirty, man. Like it was the third and fourth hit of the season. And when you take it, you're like, what am I doing? Where did it go wrong? And then invariably you're like, when Saka I was like so philosophical. I was like, when Saka got injured, that's when my season derailed because everybody had to
Says
do
the
stuff
guy
and I
that's
had to
sitting
get
at
Bruno.
20k. My season
I mean,
derailed.
okay, derailed from like, what we were thinking, like, 3-digit ranks and stuff like that. But I look, I think still great and very, very good outcome, right? Going for Bournemouth mids is so cool, man. So watching them is so nice.
Yep, back-to-back hits, right? That too?
Back to back, -4 and -8. But to be clear, the second, third, fourth hit of the season. So it's not something that I usually do.
What about you, LR? How's it going?
I mean, I was the victim of Ahmad and Gakpo injuries, and then the sub on Mr. Vissa scored 2 offside goals, so nothing to write home about this week for me. But it is what it is. I'm still looking forward to what is going to be an exciting end of the season. How about you, Zoph? How was the week for you?
Week's been all right, bit of an upward trajectory finally. 64 points, a lot of players to play. Luckily missed out on the Gakpo thing. I think the whole not going for the third Liverpool thing has really paid dividends over this period, not using that third transfer, right? Waiting for Friday. That's had such a cascading effect on the stream of points over this week and probably the week after as well.
Because you were going to do Wood to Gakpo, weren't you?
Exactly.
Oh, dude.
There's a lot of FPL managers that have made that move, and the outcome has been insane.
That's my point. It's just mad.
Andy's in the chat. He's going to get in my head. Andy Martin is in the chat. But I'll see you, Andy.
Can we just talk about the Wood goal, though? Like, did you see the game? Fulham were all over Forest, legit all over Forest, and then the ball falls onto him. It like mistakenly touches his back of the foot, falls into his place, and then it touches Bassi, deflection, and then it goes in. I'm like, this is like Pras's jumper powers multiplied by 10. Like, this is insane in terms of what happened in that game and Wood.
One shot, one goal. That's how Wood rolls. I said it this on my team selections video, I think a month ago, and that's how it is.
But to be honest, ripple effects, as we're talking about ripple effects, think about it this way. Like, I was also thinking, had the assistant manager thing not happened, everybody was triple captaining Salah, I would have been screwed. Like that week, everybody would have triple capped. So there's so many side stories to these stories on did you get lucky or did you not get lucky? And yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, Chris Wood keeps going. Maybe next 3 weeks we can back against it.
Yeah, man. We downplay luck in this game, and apparently Friday has become double game week announcement day. In this game, this Friday, the same thing happened. I don't know why they can't do it earlier in the week. They have to do it literally after 5 p.m. on a Friday. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Newcastle double. I mean, it threw all of us out. We knew it'll come. It'll be another week apart from 33, but everybody was expecting 36, I think. But yeah, lots to cover.
Talk about. Cool. Let's jump into our sponsor plug, then we'll discuss that announcement.
As always, all the data that you see on this podcast is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. We're going to use a fair few charts this morning. If you haven't become a member already, we're in full swing in blank and double season. So get on board. Click on the link in the description below and become a member.
And as you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services, and if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. TV show time, guys. LR, fun season?
My God, based on your recommendation, I saw Australia.
I needed someone to share my pain. That's all.
Australia Traitors season 2. No, it's a journey, man. That episode
journey,
is
absolutely something you won't forget. That's not one season.
Something you won't forget. I was talking to Baker about it, and he was actually, the way he put it is that it makes you so angry, but it is such an accurate portrayal of human psychology and how we just are as humans. And it came through, man, by the whole way through which the season ended. It was a journey. And another show, White Lotus season 3 is up and running. And for those those haven't seen season 1 and 2, it's one of my favorite shows. Absolutely love the character portrayals on the show, so highly recommend that if you haven't seen it.
What about you, Pras?
I finished Patalok. Very good show. I am obviously watching Severance, and there's this show on Netflix, this India-Pakistan thing. Such
The
clickbait
rivalry?
rubbish.
It's
Yeah, have
not,
you watched it?
Yeah, of course. It's not very good. It's about the time when
Yeah.
we were in school, so I remember everything quite vividly, but I think they could have
So
done a much
bad.
better job with it.
I don't know who the target audience is for that. Is it cricket lovers? Because it was rubbish for cricket lovers. Because everybody knew what happened, right? So there was no
I think
drama there.
it's for the guys who don't know what a VHS tape is. Pretty much that generation.
If it was so, or it was for people who don't follow cricket, then it was already too complicated. Like people were talking, I just thought it was really poorly done. It was clickbait, basically. All cricket fans will click on this thing because it's India Pakistan. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, that's coming up
There's
this Sunday.
so much potential for an
Exactly.
India-Pakistan documentary, and then you do this. There's so many good people who speak so much better compared to the guys that they used
Yeah.
on the documentary as well. So yeah.
Yeah, Shoaib Akhtar's a clown, man. Moving on, Nod also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Cool. Let's jump in, guys. Let's start up first up with the Gameweek 32 announcement. Newcastle now have a double of Manchester United and Crystal Palace at home. Palace have City away and Newcastle away. Pras, your thoughts when you saw this announcement?
I mean, the thoughts are that the Premier League have basically completely given up this year in terms of, the basic premise, the base assumption in economics, people say people will behave rationally. You will expect that the Premier League will behave rationally in the sense that the basic premise is you don't rearrange games in European midweeks. That has been the base, the core. That's why people say Game Week 36, Game Week 33, because those are free midweeks. Free midweeks means no European football. They just randomly have put it in Game Week 32, which is a European midweek. So this is why nobody predicted it. But they have set the precedent now where, basically essentially what the European League have done is they've increased the number of games. There were 2 more group matches. There's 2 more knockout matches. The Premier League in return have said, okay, fine, we'll just organize it whenever we want. So that's why it caught people off guard. But I think what people did know is that there was this hanging Game Week 29 game that will go somewhere. And that has gone into Game Week 32 and it's given a nice opportunity for triple captainers, I think.
Yep. I think it's the perfect opportunity for the triple captain. You get 2 home games for Isak, somebody who's quite reliable, penalties, routes to points, etc., etc. LR, you looking at that week now for triple captaincy?
Yeah, but I still want to see how the chips fall. I don't want to determine my chip strategy. What's decided so far still is that I'm not going to use the free hit chip in Game Week 29, and I'm probably going to wildcard around Game Week 30-31. You never know, right? If there's a triple captaincy option that opens up, which is maybe stronger, and it looks like there's a path in which you can get away through a blank with Game Week 34, because we don't exactly know for sure now how the chips are going to fall, because the Premier League are slightly unpredictable. It's an option, but I haven't zeroed down on it, because I do also want to bring a little bit of variability into the game given I'm chasing now. So, I want to start throwing darts that are a little away from the template at the moment.
Because now I think the predictors are saying they may not even be doubles in 36. I listened to the Planet FPL pod. They just don't know that right now.
Well, initially, in fact, when we did the helicopter view last week, we were saying they could only be 1 double in 36, and that would have been the Newcastle double. Now that Newcastle double is in 32, so yes, it's absolutely possible. So I think what we still know, so I know that there is lower confidence in predictions when there's a random double thrown in Game Week 32. I think what we still know is Game Week 33 midweek is completely free. So all the other semi-finals of the FA Cup, which will blank in 34, could blank in 34, may not also, by the way, because Game Week 34 is also a midweek for Europe, right? They may decide to do the same thing and say, oh, you're in the semi-final, just play in the midweek. So 34 also maybe is not a guaranteed blank now. So it has become all a little bit murky. But by and large, speaking by and large rather than exact, 33 should still be a double, 34 should still be a blank. How big of a double, how big of a blank, we don't know yet. So actually this announcement not only helps triple captainers, it also helps people who have assistant manager left. You could basically now, we thought there will be no double doubles again, but now we could have a double double again, 32 and 33. So you play, as LR said, what you do is by Game Week 30-31, you see what is in front of you, because by Game Week 30, the FA Cup quarterfinal would have taken place. You then know, and the arrangements would have been also announced by Game Week 30. but definitely by game week 31. 30 is not sure because 30 is a midweek game week. So by 31, you expect that you will know about 33, 34, and then you plan. Then you either wildcard, free hit, bench boost, triple captain, everything can plan at that point.
So the implication in terms of chip strategy is now, let's say you want to play a triple captaincy in 32, bench boost in 33, you most likely, I think, looking to wildcard in 31. But the curveball here is now, let's suppose that Newcastle and Palace don't double. Or let's say Newcastle don't double in 33. How are you going to load up those guys on 32 and then get rid of them for 33? Because I think if they don't have a double, it's Villa away, which is not that great a fixture for Isak. You'd probably want to get rid, but the double is so good, you'd want to triple up on Newcastle. And even with Palace, though the double isn't that good on paper, they have good fixtures prior to it. Let's say 30, 31, etc. You might want to get on their players. So that potentially could be tricky, right?
You guys need to, people with triple captaincy need to be the biggest Newcastle and Crystal Palace fans in the FA Cup. Like, you want them to have a double in 33 as well. Because if they don't, it's going to be quite flat, and people could just, instead bench boost in 32. Like, I could just bench boost the Newcastle players, Crystal Palace players, and just play through and free hit in another random week. Or it could be really ugly as well. Like, you could have a blank in 34, double in 33. You could have a blank in 37 and a double in 36. Or you could have none of them. So right now, we would like to be more exact, but the confidence is a little shaken given the 32 announcement. You just have to see what you get.
We'll have some more clarity after the next round, right, of the FA Cup fixtures. I think because then we'll have the draw. I think a little bit more certainty in terms of probability. I know we'll actually need up till game week 30, but the picture gets slightly clearer by the next weekend, I think, which is FA Cup weekend. Not the next weekend, the weekend after that.
Yes, correct.
So also, if it turns out, that on a wildcard 31 and Newcastle and Crystal Palace maybe don't have doubles in 33, even free hit 32 becomes option then, because like you mentioned, like they're not necessarily having great fixtures in 33. So I just want to keep an open mind, make sure I'm saving the free hit because I can. I do think, Pras, what's your opinion about people that are still light on players in 29? Should they comfortably use the free hit in 29?
Yeah. And if your team is such, I mean, we have Andy Martin in the chat, and his team probably has, I think, 3 Liverpool, 2 Aston Villa. He has like 2 Crystal Palace. So that's like 8 already blankers. And you could actually add to it. Crystal Palace's fixtures are great. So you can buy Eze, you can buy somebody else. And so, yeah, you can absolutely free hit in 29. I don't think the free hit value is high this year. I'm saying based on, variance can still variance. But the reason for that is Salah and Palmer don't have, or not necessarily have, any blanks or doubles. And it's absolutely fine to keep them, right? Even in a double game, it's a small double. You own Salah and Palmer. They will not blank. They will not double. So the value of free hit is diminished anyway. So you have to look at your team now. Exactly what LR said. Look at your team now. And if you think you can free hit in 29 and actually really attack the rest of the weeks, then that is the strategy. Like, don't go by this podcast, because the 3 of us are actually well set up for 29 because we double down on Everton. We are double Everton defense. We are actually, in Zoph and my case, we don't even have triple Liverpool. After slot goes, Liverpool is down to 2. So in our case, we have been managing towards 29, and hence we will not be free hitting. But for many other teams, I think it's absolutely fine to free hit in 29. In fact, optimal to do that.
In which case, you load up on Palace, no? In that case, because Palace have a good fixtures, I think, in 28 and 30. I think Southampton.
You would load up on Palace. You would have loaded up on Villa the week before, so you probably have double, triple Villa as well. So, yeah, that would be your strategy.
So what happens in that case then, which is quite interesting, is you're probably not going to use your wildcard until game week 33 because
or even 35.
Because you'll be loaded up on Palace and Newcastle. So what happens is then bench boost 33 becomes sort of dodgy. You could wildcard. So that is something that's a compromise. But you're getting away to 32 with enough people from Newcastle and Crystal Palace, and no need to and using the free hit chip in 29 without using the wildcard chip in 30-31, which is what everybody else will be doing. So that's going to be then your path.
Cool.
Andy, stop spamming the chat. We see you.
Anything else to talk about this? We'll move on to the AM discussion.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a dilemma this week now to stick or twist. Now let's talk about the teams with the table bonus over here. The teams who are eligible this weekend for table bonus are Leicester, West Ham, Wolves, Palace. Palace is, of course, assuming now that I think Villa lose to Liverpool, right? I think that's the assumption in that sense. Ipswich and Southampton.
Lose or draw. They have to win, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. So what are you guys thinking initially? Table bonus or play it safe? LR?
So quite a few factors in play at the moment right now. I mean, I could just hold on to Emery given the form that Chelsea is showing, and let's see what Villa are up to in the midweek game, and not spend a transfer there, which is I think completely fine. But it almost feels like not taking another shot, especially in my position when I want to chase. Now, what games are appealing to me? Leicester versus Brentford, not considering given Leicester's form. Actually expect a fairly comfortable win for Brentford. And again, I don't want to sit on the fence with my opinion. Arsenal versus West Ham, I'm not considering either team. Because Arsenal don't have their prime attackers fit, I don't see that as a plum fixture for Arsenal. And conversely, because West Ham haven't shown much and it's a very tough away game, I'm not sure about that. The only good thing you could say is that they'll probably have their first choice front four probably playing in this game. It could be Ferguson, Paqueta, Kudus and Bowen front four, which is pretty potent. But you want to see something before you take the plunge. But so far, Potter's team have looked good on paper, that lost all but one under Potter. So that's the thing. One team that I've been impressed with actually is Wolverhampton Wanderers. I mean, not giving a shot to Liverpool in the second half was quite impressive, right, from them. So they're really, really a team that I like in terms of betting on from a table bonus perspective, a team that is in a decent platform, but they are playing the most informed team in the league at home, who don't lose. That's a problem. There's problems with Fulham versus Crystal Palace as well, because on paper, this is the closest fixture, and this is provided Aston Villa don't win to Liverpool. If Aston Villa win to Liverpool, then this game doesn't become a table bonus game, which is information that everybody should know. So don't jump the gun and get in a Glasner if you're sure about him right now, because it could not very well not be a table bonus game. Then it's definitely not worth it. The problem is Eze and Wharton are sort of semi-fit. They're not fully fit at the moment. And Fulham have just been in great form.
This is their home record.
Been in ridiculously good form. Again, Ipswich, you want to take a punt against Spurs, but Spurs just have Maddison back. They have Danso. They have one more.
Vicario.
Back. Vicario's back. So a lot of the first teamers are back when it comes to Spurs as well. So it's all looking a bit shaky at the moment. Nothing that stands out. Probably Glasner.
I think the top three that people are looking at, and I think let's get the Leicester one out of the way. That seems quite popular, and we'll see in the next slide as well. I don't think any of us are in favor of that at all. Leicester, I think they failed to score in last 5 of their 6 home matches. It's all looking a bit poisonous over there. And Brentford have actually been decent. I think the last 3 away matches they've won.
Yeah.
So I don't really like that at all. We'll talk about Arsenal in detail. Of course, that's the one to talk about. Let's talk about Fulham first, because I think that's another one that people are looking at. Now, let's look at Fulham's results now this season. And we should mention that they had something like 24 or 25 shots against Forest, who we consider a very elite defense. Sells had to make 8 saves. They crafted around 4 or 5 big chances there. So they've only failed to score in 2 games this season. And the irony is those are against Southampton and Manchester United. But they haven't really kept many clean sheets at home. It's only been 1 clean sheet. So you expect Palace to score. But I do think now Fulham will win that game. Fulham are just playing really, really well. The Lukic and Bird combination is clicking. Jimenez is firing. The wingers are doing well. Traore looked very good last weekend. So I just don't like backing that at the moment. I just don't.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have to back a win. Like backing a draw is nice, is okay. Like 1-1 draw, you basically get 3 points for the draw, 5 points for the table bonus, and let's say 1 goal, right? That's 9 points. That's the same as Arsenal winning 2-0. So what we have to basically say is, if you really have conviction, you have to hope for a win. And so that's why the win percentages are actually very, very key to me. Of course, like I said, a draw can be a nice insurance and you can still get through it. So like I was very, very disappointed when Man City didn't draw to Newcastle. I was set on Pep versus Liverpool, like to go for it, because you know the Arne Slot managers, we are very sad. Like we are not feeling the table bonus itch that you guys have. Like the people who've been dreaming, you guys have a Wednesday night dream. Villa win 2-0, you get 22 points. I have a nightmare. That's it. There is no dream. The dream is just 8 to 10 points, but that's just how the chip is. And we knew that going in. So I really wanted a table bonus, basically going from slot to somebody. But none of these, I think like you guys have said, are so appealing that I would say, you know what, like Liverpool could win or Liverpool could draw against Man City, right? Liverpool draw against Man City, that's 4-5 points. Let's say it's a 2-2 draw, that's 5 points. So, or a 0-0 draw, that's 5 points. So that's where I am. Like if I'm getting 5 points from slot, and I can't have the dream scenario where I'll be backing what I think is maybe even a winner or a favorite. I don't see that here. Against Pep, I could have dreamt, like it can be a draw, or Pep can pull out that performance. Haaland scores that 2-1, and then you get a 20-pointer. So that's what basically has made it a little bit flat. And I think the end result is the people who haven't played their AM chip actually, I think, end up being the winners here. Like, a lot of people can just either hope to get lucky with one of these, play it safe, or do nothing. And that's what people will end up doing. I think a lot of people will do nothing.
I'll just be devil's advocate here. People that are going to be playing the AM chip in 32, for example. I mean, Glasner has City away, Newcastle away. There's going to be equal hope to get lucky when they are taking a shot against City and Newcastle. Just by nature of backing the underdog against the favorite, it's never going to feel convincing. It is never ever going to feel convincing.
But last week, Fulham home to Nottingham Forest, we all knew Fulham's going to get
opportunities, and there are a few coming up for Palace also in the coming weeks. This one just doesn't feel it.
So let's talk about, I think, like what might be worth it is just getting into the football and integrities of it. First up, like my advice to both of you is, unless the game goes into extra time, the Madrid game for City, I would switch, because City's form has convincingly improved. And again, Liverpool weren't walking against Wolves either. I would take a shot. Like, I don't think this is a nailed on win. I think, especially since it's away for City, I would just take a shot.
No, it's a 5 point. I'm taking it as a 5-pointer.
Yeah, like I would take a shot for a bonus game, whichever one you fancy, based on press conferences on Friday and what feel you have, what gut feel you have. I would genuinely take a shot because City's form has really improved. Like, Nico Gonzalez in midfield has made a difference, giving just 3 shots to Newcastle. Marmoush taking a shot on target whenever he gets a chance. Liverpool not being the dominant team that they were for most part of the season. Let's just say that. Let's not call it a down, but they're not as convincing as they've been all season. I would take a shot. Like, that's my advice to everybody that's a slot owner. Unless City play 120 minutes midweek, then you're probably thinking, okay, the tiredness, etc. comes into the picture. And then you decide. I think it has to be, if you're willing to play it safe, like by virtue of balance of Palace being closest to Fulham in terms of team ability, you take a shot there. You can take the home shot for McKenna. And I just want to say I felt like Wolves could get something, but the fact that they lost their centre back also has made me a little low on that bet. So it has to be McKenna or Glasner, I think, if you're taking a shot.
You don't like the move to Arteta?
Because their attack is... If I was moving, I would move to a bonus game. I don't think any of the other non-bonus games are bankers.
But 75% chance of a 9-pointer, LR.
And a clean sheet as well. I think they will score a couple of goals. They stick Merino up front there, and as long as Raheem Sterling doesn't step on a football pitch again, I think Arsenal will still get 2 or 3 goals there.
Points. Let's not get carried away. Merino got a couple of goals because of game state. Like, Arsenal were chasing a game. It's still likely. I don't think Arteta almost hinted that. Merino said that he's not expecting to play center forward.
He hadn't trained there. Can you imagine that? He just chucked him on.
Leicester have by far been the worst team in the league, and Arsenal just about managed to beat them. It is not as convincing as you guys think. If I was taking a shot, I would take a shot, because it's not I don't think Arsenal against West Ham at home, being a London derby, given Arsenal are missing their front 3, is a banker.
Do you have the Rob T numbers, the expected points?
Yes, of course.
So, you know what? The thing about this chip is, I like this chip from one side of things, where people can understand expected points very easily. It's very easy, right? You have a chance of draw, you have a chance of win, you multiply it by whatever points you get. It's actually very easy to look at markets and say, this is what the markets are saying in terms of odds for your points that you will get. So I'm with you. Glasner is almost the same as Arteta. So there is no huge upside. I think that's what we're trying to say. But what I'm also trying to say is that if you're then doing that, then might as well just keep it. Like, Arne Slot is 5.5. Where is your Emery? 5. Those guys are at 5, right? So 5 points is not that bad, especially now. You have to basically, what you have to consider is there is no appealing one. If there was an appealing fixture, we would all say, okay, guys, we think this is the one and we're all going to that. There is not that for a reason. And what I'm thinking is, as I'm going towards Game Week 29, if I use up a transfer, now, I pretty much have to either take a hit in Game Week 29 or I have to play somebody like Jacob Greaves or João Pedro in Game Week 29. Where if I don't take a hit now, or if I don't change my manager, I lose, let's quantify it. So from Arne Slot 5.5 to Arteta, I lose about 3 points, 2.9 points. Instead, I could get Guardiola as my Game Week 29, home to Brighton, home to Leicester in Game Week 30. Would he make up those 3 points? That's the math I'm trying to do.
Yep.
Yes, Pras, but that's a very analytics way to look at it, because the fact is the sample size that you're trying to predict here is one game week. Now think of it as free hit. Remember how when we talk about free hits is that the variability when you're trying to predict just 1 week is much higher, because it's easier to predict a performance of a player over 6 weeks, but it's much more difficult to get it right over 1 week.
100%.
And the fact is, if you hit your predictability right, there's a chance of a 15 to 20 pointer. It's not the 3 or 4 points. There's a shot to make 15 to 20 points. Those numbers are much better in place over a longer duration. Even when we're looking at 3 game week durations, they were a lot more accurate on giving us an idea compared to just 1 week, because 1 week is a little fluke.
It's
And
also zero though, no? Like
It's-
it's a playstyle thing. Like we have a coin, right?
Yeah.
And it's a playstyle thing. It's a coin where somebody says either you can have 10 points or you flip the coin and you can have 20 or 0. I'm taking 10, man. I'm not
But
flipping the coin. And you will
10
flip the
given the
coin.
extra 10 given the extra transfer.
10 with no transfer, and you will flip the coin with 20 or 0 with an extra.
No,
transfer.
you're saying 5 plus 1 cost of transfer, hence 10 point. Essentially.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's take transfers out of it, because everybody will have to use up a transfer. So let's now first compare Arteta to the others, and I'm saying what Arteta is I'm giving you 8 points, and okay, you can argue that they can still draw. So let's call it 5 to 9 points. I'm giving you, or I'm giving a coin where you get to flip 0 or 1 to 15 or 20. So what you're saying is you would flip. I'm saying maybe I won't flip.
I would take it.
Yeah.
But the point you make about transfers is a good one, Pras, because I've seen a lot of people say it, I wouldn't do it for a hit, but now every transfer has an opportunity cost, especially if that scenario happens where, let's say, Newcastle want to get rid of their players immediately after 32, etc., right? So every transfer now, even though it might not be a hit now, it's something that might save you a hit 4 to 5 weeks
Absolutely.
later. The 5 transfers
You
has
have
changed
to-
the game. If it was only
have to
2
go
free
to Game Week
transfers,
29.
I can burn one, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But the fact you can accumulate and carry them through a wild card is a completely game changer in that thought process. So let's just talk first about whether he should stick. And I think as a Chelsea fan, I would say I'd be more comfortable sticking with Emery than I would with Slot at this present day, given how Chelsea are playing. LR, do you agree?
Hey, if City show a performance against City were good against Madrid. City weren't terrible against Madrid, and City
They
were
collapsed
really,
at the
really
end.
good against
Yeah.
Newcastle. Yeah, they were really, really good against Newcastle. So City are showing signs of being back, and there is opportunity here to be early on that boat rather than later. We're not talking about a whimsical team. We're talking about Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, who's got a fair few players back, who's got finally a mini Rodri, as he himself said, and the centre backs are fit. There's a good chance City are back, and if they do well against Liverpool, everybody's jumping on them in the game after that. Everybody's jumping. Everybody's jumping there later anyway, but they're showing signs of that resurgence. So I won't be surprised if Slot, and it's combined with the fact that Liverpool aren't as dominating as they were
That's what it
previously as well. Yeah, so I would take the shot, man. I genuinely would urge you guys also. I'm not very pushy when it comes to you guys and your moves, but I genuinely think it's an opportunity missed if you're not taking a stab at a 15 to 20 pointer, because I don't think Slot's worth it, and given Arsenal's injury problems, I don't think Arteta's worth it either. It was Leicester until 75th minute, 88th minute, they did nothing.
The first half was horrid.
It was a
I was
But
struggling.
away game,
miserable
home
game.
game. This is home game.
Home
That was
game.
away game.
Yes, but it's a front six that have functioned together for one game. I'm trying to change the perception from a footballing point of view, where Trossard, Sterling and Nwaneri have played together just one game. They haven't had any footballing experience. You'd have to take that into consideration.
It's going to be Moreno, Trossard and Nwaneri this time, just for balance. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the case.
Sterling
But
cannot
yeah,
play.
Sterling is not going to start.
But also you have to keep in mind, LR, West Ham have not been good.
West Ham were terrible in the first half, and then once
They were
Ferguson
better
came on,
with Ferguson.
they were
yes.
better. I just
But
want
I
to
just
take
want
the
to be
next.
clear, LR, you're saying you're making two decisions, not one. You're making a decision number one, which is to switch from slot, which I think I am in agreement with, that you can switch. City are looking better. It was always the plan to switch, man. We were talking in the last podcast that you should switch. Like Man City away is
Even
not a
for a
fixture
hit
you
press,
want.
because a lot of people have
So
the
this is
Gakpo
why
problem.
this is where it comes into it, where maybe now people are dilly-dallying because there is no clear switch. And then the second decision is whether it is safe or table bonus. Table bonus, again, there is no clear, and even in the other one there is no clear. I'm with you. Arsenal are not the same team, and West Ham are still dangerous. I think, was it last year when they drew against
Yeah,
Arsenal?
no, I think they won at the Emirates
Did
last
they win?
year.
Okay. So I get it. Like West Ham, I value Potter a lot. I think he's a very good manager. At some point it will click with him. It's not clicking yet, but at some point it will click with him. So it's not a no-brainer. Which is why I go back to step number one and say, you know what, just chuck it. It's not like Liverpool can't win. It's not like if they draw, it's the end of the world. It's a 5-pointer, 4-pointer. So that's where I am, and maybe it's a bit like game theory, right? If Slot beats Villa, you're like, dude, Slot is good, man. 3 wins and I'm good. Like he's doing well. Why should I switch against him? If he loses, you're like, okay, I'm gonna chase now because I just gave up 20 points to the field on Emery. So I feel like there'll be some outcome bias as well in what people do.
I'll just tell you one thing, right? Plus, like going down to the greens. I think you're an excellent FPL planner. I think one extra transfer, if you're accounting for it, I think you will make your way through it in a way that it's fine. You will make your way through the fixture calendar in such a way that you will allow yourself that one extra transfer. Now, I'm coming back to pots that we've had at the end of the season, at the start of the season. And I distinctly remember that one of the things that you said you want to work on is that slight 10-15% gear up aggression, which is what worked in Zoph's favor as well.
That's why I sold Wood.
Which is why he had that good season last year as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think the cost of a shot that you're taking this week isn't that high. And like, given both your playstyles into play, I would just punt on Glass now. I'm not even saying McKenna. Go for the close tie. Glasner pulls out a result because the teams are fairly matched. That's all.
I'm just looking closely at the odds now over here. It's interesting now that Emery and Slot are both actually favorites going into the game. So let's just talk about a hit first, because a lot of people on the Discord were asking about that. You have other injuries like your Ahmads, Gakpos, etc. to sort out. Would you guys both agree that you should take a hit? For a manager, I think you can stick, man. I don't necessarily like the idea of taking a hit.
For a hit is worse. Worse because then like it comes into play where it's 5 + 5, 4 points
But
for a transfer.
hit comes later, whether you take it this week or 29.
It does, but
it's coming.
ultimately, there's still some the pain that comes right now. You want the instant gratification. Let's not lie to ourselves.
I'm just looking at it as, do I want Jacob Greaves plus Glasner, or do I want Guardiola and Arne Slot? That's how I'm looking at it. Because that transfer can be used later for something else.
Yeah, but I think if you ask me, Guardiola is more likely to pay that than than the transfer you're making for the manager now.
Yeah, but then if I make the manager move now, I probably won't take that hit in Gameweek 29 and I won't have Guardiola. That's what I'm saying.
I get your point, but I guess you just have to keep in mind that the transfer is being used. You take the hit when you need to. That's it, pretty much. You're bringing the hit forward. Or
29 is so close that it's getting very tempting to say, these are my next 4 moves. And if I made 4 transfers on players, my team would be this. And if I made 3 transfers on players and 1 transfer on a manager, my team would be that. That's what I'm trying to compare. But I am with LR. I think there is a lot of temptation. I would have loved there to be a temptation for a home manager, because I feel this chip is made for a home manager playing at home against a team that is 5 places above and basically banking on that. Which is why it's a real shame. It's just Ruud van Nistelrooy and McKenna, the 2 relegated teams that have a nice home game, which is the shame basically.
Can I just feed some more narrative? Palace's away form has been better than their home form.
Yes, but Fulham's home form
has been incredible as well. But I just wanted to
and some other stats I want to show you guys for Fulham. Let's look at the team data. The XGC non-pen is the best in the league over the last 6 matches.
Yeah.
The data is incredible for Fulham. I really don't like backing against Fulham at all. And let's talk about the Ipswich one as well, since you mentioned that. And I think the fact that Spurs are getting now an entire week off is massive. Now, the same thing you spin to me on the back of a Europa League match, I'd be all in. I don't like taking on Spurs when they've had a full week off.
I'll tell you my read of the United Spurs game though. We were both rubbish, firstly. Let's get that out of the way. But if we didn't panic every time we entered the final third, there were 2, 3, 4 goals there for us for the taking. And even outside of the fact that we didn't panic, there was a big chance for Garnacho. There was a chance for Xerxes. There was a chance for Højlund. There were chances. Spurs will give you chances. I just wanted to add that, while people are making the decisions. That's all.
And again, it could be very game state dependent for that goal, because Ipswich also, for example, the 1-1 really flattered them, which it would. When being down to 10 men for the majority of the game, their goalkeeper is very, very good. I think he's a big upgrade on Muric. But that being said, if I was going to go for table bonus, it would be between Palace and Wolves for me. With Wolves, you're not expecting a clean sheet, but the thing with Bournemouth, they play. And with Wolves, you could see goals in that game. It could be like a 2-2, 3-2, something like that.
And you have a world-class player to rely on. Cunha can pull something out of, and he's in great form. He's over the lack of motivation, should we call it, as we know it. He's been playing really good in the last 3-4 games. Wolves have been really good in the last 3-4 games. So yeah, food for thought. I'm glad we're having this discussion now, and then all our individual team selections videos are there later in the week as the thoughts are percolate. But I do want to say, while we're having this discussion, is if City's game is this midweek, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. So if that goes into 120 minutes, I would make a much stronger case for just sticking with Slot, because I do think that comes into play.
And also, let's say Villa look very good, then there's more of a case for sticking with Emery as well against Chelsea.
Yep.
But to summarize the discussion now, let me ask a few things for you guys. First one now, take a hit for a manager. First up, Pras.
No. Because of how the cards have fallen.
Ella?
If your team health allows it to play 11-29, then take a hit.
Okay, so but ultimately you're going to have to make transfers, like the guys with Ahmad Gakpo are going to have to make the transfer. So the manager ultimately needed to repay in this week. Let's look at that in isolation.
Then it shouldn't mean, like I'm saying, that if you're having 9 players in place for 29, then don't take the hit. If you have 9 players in 29, then take the hit for a manager, because you're healthy for 31, and then there will be a wild card later to figure out the rest of the season. Even though it adds up, back yourself to figure that out when the fixtures open up. So if your team is healthy for 29, then take the hit for a manager.
Cool. Now let's talk about the managers to make the transfer for. I think I'll likely be going Arteta. I like the security there. Pras?
If I switch, we are disappointing LR. This is why I was going to actually use it for my team selection video. So LR, I'm really tempted by a table bonus. But I think...
will convince. I'm not having it. I will convince Zoph by the end of the week.
Okay, FPL Richie has just joined the chat. He's on the handle of FPL Last Resort, which is a pod they do with Danny. He's a West Ham fan. And he's basically saying, joining a little late, but I would underline how bad West Ham were. We should have been down 3-0 minimum before halftime. And our West Ham record versus Arteta has been awful. 6-0 defeats at home.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to our chat, speak to the Arsenal fans in the Discord, and ask about the performance against Leicester?
I know. I watched.
We saw it. I saw entire 90 minutes of. They were abysmal up till the 80th minute. They didn't create anything, but they were a lot better when Raheem Sterling went off.
There is a case against everyone, LR. That's the thing. There's a case against all of them.
Exactly. So go for the higher ceiling.
Or do nothing.
Or do nothing. Or do nothing. I'm more confident in backing Arnie Slot versus City than making a move for Arteta, who doesn't have a front three. If you're making the move,
then you're saying just save your transfer.
If I'm making the move, I don't see Arsenal as a banker, however the fixture looks on paper. If you're making the move, go for a ceiling. Otherwise, stay with what you have. Because Liverpool are Liverpool.
Okay, final pitch for Arsenal. Look at the odds right in front of you. There is only 8% chance of a 0-pointer. Right? These are market odds. These are not my opinions. Right? And market odds reflect reality. They know Trossard is whatever. Saka is injured, Martinelli is injured, Havertz is injured. Your chance of a 0-pointer, if you go for, let's say, Leicester City, is basically 46%. 46% chance of a 0-pointer.
I'm very clear. If you are moving to Arteta, rather stick with Slot/Emery.
But then for table bonus, Crystal Palace, 45% chance of a 0-pointer. Fulham's chances of winning are 46%.
Yes, but
So 46%
could
chance
get a
you
point
get a
for the
0
goal.
pointer.
You could get a point or two
Okay.
for the goal, but yeah, I
If
get
you
your
use 2-1,
point.
one
I get the point
pointer.
you're making.
For Crystal Palace, 26% chance, 1 in 4 chance that you get a 20 pointer. Otherwise, you just get a 5 pointer. So I'm saying
but
the dream of 20 points is only a 1 in 4 chance.
Exactly. But then stick to slot. I'm fine. I don't see the point of moving from slot to Arteta. If I'm moving slot, I would move to a bonus fixture.
But this is like saying
because it's likely that Liverpool are a team that play well, that do well. It's likely that they get a draw or a win. It's likely that Arsenal get a win, and it's likely that Arsenal don't lose. But the upside is 5 points, 6 points. Like
it's
I wouldn't
actually 3,
waste,
only 3 points.
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't waste a transfer for the likelier outcome. Like I would waste a transfer for the ceiling outcome. I wouldn't waste a transfer for the Arteta move.
Fair enough. That's a fair move to have. But 3 EV is a lot, yeah? Like 3 EV is the difference between, let's say,
Yep.
I gave you a
The
transfer
chances
to
of a
go
slot
from,
0 are still reasonable in terms of like look at Guardiola's win odds is 34%.
think of it in a week. Let me use EV as an example. Let's say Salah is playing home to Ipswich. His EV will be 10. EV of 7 is players like Bumo away to Southampton, which is also still good. Would you still move Bumo to Salah? I think you would for getting those 3 expected points. So I'm just saying it is still a lot of EV difference. 3 is a lot.
Fair. I said.
But I hear you. I hear you. We all hear you. And I think right now, as things stands, I'm leaning towards just leaving it.
Yeah, leaving is fine. I will not hold you guys for leaving it. I will hold you guys if you're switching to not take a shot.
So let's say now if you were to take a shot, let's take one team that we would take a shot on for table bonus. And I think LR, you had mentioned Palace.
Yeah. Glasner or McKenna?
But Glasner, were you not concerned about these quotes?
I am
about
concerned.
Eze?
It's a bunch of not so convincing options. Given all those, I think Palace are more capable of giving their opponents a game. If we were to toss the coin 10 times, I would reckon higher number of times Palace would probably get a draw or a result against Fulham compared to Ipswich versus Spurs or Wolves versus Bournemouth.
The odds are quite similar in that sense for Ipswich, Palace and Leicester. Even for win and draw, you look at that, the numbers are quite close. It's all like single leg digit differences. I think I don't know why I have a good feeling about Wolves.
I was having a good feeling about too, but they lost their CB. It's a big deal. Yeah.
Who
a lot of their
did
stability.
they lose again?
Agbadu.
Okay, but this guy Totti played quite well. Totti Gomez, I think he was quite good that game. And I think they have players in reserve. They can do it. But again, Bournemouth at home have been really good. They've kept like the most clean sheets at home. Crazy number of points. So it's very difficult to back against that. And with Fulham, I think they do give you some chances in the sense you look at the matches over here. It's a both teams to score fixture in general.
Yeah.
They did lose to Wolves 4-1. They did lose to Villa 3-1. They lost to Manchester United, but that was really a 0-0 game. That was really more of a deflected goal. Ipswich also, they did draw. They did draw to Bournemouth. So I see the point you're making in that sense. There are opportunities there, but just the recent form and recent performances from Fulham have been so good.
Yeah. It's just that Palace are still a capable team. You know, like it's almost like 60-40 or 65-35 in Fulham's favor compared to like, I think it's more heavier weighted in terms of how we perceive the games to go. That's all.
Eze and Wharton being fit definitely would have lent me more in that direction.
Yeah. And also like guys, let's also like little zoom out big picture. There's a good chance that this chip is not going to be there next year. There's a fair chance. Like, I don't want you guys to play the only year we had a chance to play the chip without having a single shot.
It was optimal. We played it optimally, man.
No, man. Like, it's all right then.
But it's a horrible watch. I have to agree with this point, by the way. Let's spend a second on it. It is shit watching football with this chip. Like, it is not nice. I don't want to support Liverpool against Wolves, man. I would love for Wolves to equalize. And I'm sitting there clenching my butt like, come on, Wolves should not equalize because I have Arne Slot as my manager. It's a rubbish. We don't play fantasy to support Liverpool. I hate the chip.
And it was an uncomfortable 15 minutes for you guys as Liverpool fans.
It was.
I mean, it's not even the Everton result, you look at it. I went to bed at the 80th minute like, oh, cheers, points banked. I wake up to take a piss and like, oh, shit.
I have never been nervous in a game like that if it hasn't involved Man United. Because FPL is FPL. The guy blanks, no problem. Here you're like, okay, there's a 20-point swing if Everton win this game. 20-point swing or actually 30-point swing because Arne Slot gets 10. Otherwise, Moyes gets 20. So every goal, when Beto scores, you're like, oh my God, my life is destroyed. 30 points to rivals and whatever. It's Liverpool, man. Like, this is not why we play fantasy football. I hate Liverpool.
Yep. That's why I don't want you to not take a shot, man. The only chance you had to.
Pras, where would you go
And
if you were to?
I'm not getting a 0-pointer.
No, but
I don't believe in those
listen, no,
games.
you have to pick one. Now, if you had to pick one for table
I'm going
bonus, where would
Arteta.
you go?
I will be saving or going
I said
Arteta.
if you had to pick one for a bonus.
Okay, if I have to pick for bonus.
I think it would be
Glasner.
Palace.
I think Glasner.
Palace or Wolves.
Glasner looks fine.
I'm leaning more towards Palace more, I think, now. Because I really don't fancy Ipswich. With Spurs having the full week off, that for me is a clincher.
We'll chat to Ivan and Baker and see what they have to say and have that opinion on the team selection.
No, I watched
video as
Baker's pod, and I think they're quite confident going into the Ipswich game.
Pras, what did you make of Spurs' performance against us?
We are bad, man. We make everybody look all right. Like, we were...
But so do Spurs.
Like, Spurs were all right, man. Like, they
It was a
had
game of
players
lot of
coming
chances,
well.
and the stats said it all, right? I think it was combined 40 shots when I did my stats review, but there were 3 big chances. That just tells you all about the quality of the teams on display.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what to say. I hope we don't bring up Man United in any future podcasts. Honestly, I feel they'll have a double and there'll be no picks. Like with Ahmad was the one pick because he's cheap, he's good on bench boost. There's no pick.
You're going
So it would
Bruno
be...
plus if they get a double.
How does that feel, by the way?
How does what feel? Getting rid of Bruno?
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, it was ruining my experience of watching Man United. You know, like you feel double depressed. Like every time there's a blank, and it was genuinely ruining my experience. Like and you know, with Bruno, he's also close many times. He had that Garnacho chance in this game. You saw the one he laid on the plate to Garnacho, which he missed. If I owned Bruno, I would have basically been, you know, in a bad mood for the next 2 hours. So at least now with Man United, I was only in a bad mood for 15 minutes, and then it was fine. So it's not great, and yeah, we don't need to talk about Man United.
So while we're talking and just about United, I just want to give a shout out to Xerxes because in a bunch of bad performances, I thought he was really good with his close control and creative ability. So hoping the minutes. One thing that was interesting in the post-match press conference is Amorim mentioned he's become thinner. So he's trying to work on his mobility. That just stood out to me. So just wanted to mention that from a football point of view. Anyway, let's go on. Where are we going now? City next?
Let's just go to the results and let's just talk team by team. I think let's unpack first Chelsea, and there's a lot to talk about with João Pedro and Palmer first. Plus, you still have João Pedro. Go ahead, Ella.
Just while we are doing this, it's important to address that there are a lot of Gakpo and Ahmad owners in the market. So while we have options in place that are midfield replacements or forward replacements for those 2 players also, we should talk about them while talking about these teams.
People are looking at Mitoma suddenly again. So João Pedro is dead, Zoph. To get rid of him, man. Like there is no. The only good thing is next week when a lot of people who have João Pedro will get their assistant manager money, you can go to Cunha. Like I think that's a natural move that a lot of people will be
I'm
making.
actually planning to do in 29 is downgrade Palmer to 180 and then upgrade Pedro to Haaland. There's something I think.
Okay.
Something like that. I think most people can do if they get some money around. I think that's probably going to be my target. Marmoush, obviously, is a bit of a game changer. We'll talk when we get to City. But Chelsea, man, I think really reaffirmed what I thought. We just cannot function without Nicky Jackson up top. There's no link up. There's no cohesion whatsoever. And I think now the thing is with Palmer, if he didn't have Southampton and Leicester around the corner, I think we'd all be getting rid. The numbers have dropped, the performances from the team have dropped, but with those fixtures in place, I don't think you can. You have to hold on for a couple of game weeks. I think 3 game weeks more. 29 they play Arsenal, but then I think at 30 again they have a good fixture. Let me have a look.
30, 31, 32 are all good actually.
Yep. Tottenham, Brentford. But the thing is, I'd still look at Tottenham and Brentford as good teams, and if Jackson isn't back by then, I'd still expect them to beat us. Southampton and Leicester, you just cannot sell Palmer, man.
Yeah, you can't.
So you just have to try those out. You agree, LR?
Questions of? Oh, 100%. I am also not completely ruling out moving to Nkunku because I need to zag and the fixtures are coming. I just need to ask you, what's his...
much better midfield picks outside Nkunku.
What are his minutes looking like? In your opinion, against Southampton and Leicester, is he nailed on?
He is, but the thing is, if you look at the player who's closest to the profile to Jackson and what Jackson offers, it's not Nkunku. It's probably somebody like a Madueke or Sancho. But the thing is, we have so many injuries and suspensions in other wide positions now. Madueke is also injured. We only have pretty much Neto and Sancho out wide now. They're not really goal scorers, either of them. They're more creators. And even with Nkunku, again, he doesn't look like the same player. The motivation just isn't there. So it's pretty much a shot in the dark, man. I would fancy like a Dango or so many other better midfield picks than going to Nkunku. But I guess if you're looking for a pick only for those two fixtures and then you want to move him on for Arsenal, very short term.
It's just that like Chelsea are facing in the last 6 game weeks or since the last 10 game weeks, 3 teams are comfortably in the bottom 5 for XGC, and Chelsea are facing 3 of them at home. So like I am of the opinion that fixtures breed form, and yes, like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, until Maresca said, you guys were in a title race also. So like how it switched so quickly to the other way where they become non-picks, it can switch as quickly. And I understand Jackson's injury plays a big role, but the fact is Chelsea are playing 3 of the poorest defenses in the next 5 games at home, which is why I don't think we should completely brush it off, because fixtures do breed form. That's why if I move to Nkunku, it won't be this week. I want to see how they look against Villa, and then take a jab, but keep an open mind to that spot. He's 5.7 as a midfielder. That's all.
It's ridiculous.
You give it a week. Definitely give it another week.
I mean, just to note though, he didn't play up top, right? Start in the first half, it was I think Palmer playing up top and Nkunku playing behind, and then Nkunku went up top.
They sort of tried playing both of them up top because it was very similar setup to what they did in the first reverse fixture. They played the 2 guys, but Brighton were much wiser this time. They didn't allow them to get as much space in behind.
And with Madueke's injuries, there is literally no one. Like, we know exactly the front 4.
Yeah. The problem now with that team at the moment is that the wingers are, more than anybody else, the wingers are out of form. Like there's quite a few times where the decision making has been so rubbish for both Neto and Sancho. That's been the problem for them. It's not Nkunku was actually in good, decent positions multiple occasions against Brighton. It's just that those guys are not passing. So I want to see how the performance is against Villa. Like people that have the option to either sell Ahmad or Gakpo or both can either sell one of them first, right? Because I'm sure most people have 8 attackers in place. So even that is a decision.
Just look at Brighton's fixtures to see if the Mitoma hype is worth it. It's Southampton, which is obviously good, but then it's Bournemouth, Fulham, Man City, and Villa, Palace. No, man. The fixtures are not good. These are good defenses. Bournemouth, Fulham, Man City, Villa, maybe not so much, but even Palace is away. I just don't see it.
I mean, the devil's advocate way of looking at it is they play Southampton this week. I mean, you can never go wrong with picking a player when they're playing Southampton.
But that being said, Pras, Southampton only gave up 1.2 XG against a free-flowing Bournemouth side. They are getting better.
You are, but Bournemouth are a type of team that actually does better the better the opposition in a way, no? Like, although Southampton are not like a sitting back, park the bus kind of team. So I give them credit. I'm not taking away credit. But I feel it's a good game to target. And then you have 2 home games, Bournemouth and Fulham. Okay, not easy. And then they play in Gameweek 29. And a lot of people will be wildcarding in 30 anyway. Yeah, Man City away.
And which again, we have to realign our expectations. We spoke about Man City is a good fixture for your attackers, but with Gonzalez there, that plays down a little bit.
Realign. First, we had to realign that they're rubbish. Now we have to realign they're not that bad. So, okay. I mean, I'm not
and
a fan.
Also, Champions League plays in mind of that. Now they go out of the Champions League, singular focus and is on the league. They don't have the distractions either side of it.
Correct. I think we need a Man City chat anyway with Mamouche and stuff. So, anything else on Brighton?
Nope.
Is Pedro sell?
Absolutely. Unless Rutter gets injured in training.
Yeah.
So in my case also, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to play him. So I think what the answer to your question is Pedro play in your 11? No, even if it's Southampton. But is he a sell? Depends on your timing, right? What you want to get for that place. A lot of people have Wood and Isak. And so they are like in Zoph's place. You can wait because those 2 guys are fine for a while. And then you can get that 3rd slot. In my case, I have Watkins, who I need to move out anyway at some point, maybe before 29. And I have João Pedro. And so my thinking is I can move one to Cunha and then the other one can become Haaland. So I could move even to João Pedro to Cunha next week.
Thinking about getting Wood again soon, Pras?
No chance. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that.
That was a trick question.
If I make the transfer, if I delay the transfer, and if I only buy a João Pedro replacement for Gameweek 29, then Chris Wood has Ipswich, man. So then you just go straight to Chris Wood.
Also, Zoph, I'd be careful given what's been happening in our country with what people are saying online. I'd be wary of saying.
No publicity is bad publicity, man.
I can say whatever. You guys will face the consequences.
Move on to Leicester Arsenal. Let's talk about the front three, because I think all of them are options now. Let's look at the fixtures. I think the fixtures are a bit mixed for Arsenal. I remember having a look earlier. It's West Ham. Forest is not great. United, of course, is better. Chelsea, of course, is good. Then you have Fulham and Everton. But I think after the international break is after 29, right? So for Fulham and Everton, you are expecting Saka and Martinelli to be there and thereabouts. So it's a bit short term, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
Game week 30. People can wildcard Game week 30.
31
Yeah.
also, yeah, I guess in 30 there's no guarantee they'll start. You get one window to watch them during the FA Cup before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at 4.5, man, is decent value. I think Waneri was very, very good.
Best player on the pitch.
I think Noireni is a great option. I think Trossard is an option. I don't think Merino is an option. I don't know if he's going to play striker, so I wouldn't go there. So I don't think that front three, I don't think Merino is nailed on as a striker. I'm not as convinced as you guys are about Merino playing striker there for sure. So I just wanted to add that.
Yep, I think, yeah, pretty much wait and watch. And I think the other midfield picks you probably will go for before you plump for Mourinho.
Yeah. But Noireni becomes one of the best 4.5 options out there now, in my opinion, for sure.
I would say under 6 million, he's still with a shout. Like if you're thinking of a Bournemouth midfielder or if you're thinking of a Rinkunku, like there is one extra slot. It could be Nwaneri. It's fine. Like he was legit good, and he's taking corners, which is basically that Saka side of corners. So
Exactly.
when you take corners, you take shots on goal. You don't have pens. You're great
Good for bonus, man. 3 bonus with just an assist. Good baseline
Despite
as
not
well.
scoring the brace, like Merino couldn't overtake.
That's crazy, right? And there's something we compare him to somebody like Dango, who's terrible on the bonus. Who after scoring the goal also, I think 1 of 3 goals is nowhere near in the top 3.
He's not a striker, right? He's a midfielder. He doesn't get the same BPS
And he
uplift.
doesn't do the dirty work that you get the
Exactly.
BPS for.
Exactly.
We'll talk about Bournemouth soon, but I think let's move on to Villa Ipswich. Very unlucky as a Rodgers owner. I just needed to say that.
Oh, 100%. Like
So many
thanks to
two
Palmer,
goal line clearance.
he got away with not owning Rodgers, and he was electric. He was Villa's best player. Rashford looked really, really sharp once he came on as well, on the left-hand side as well. I'm expecting him to be starting choice now. Like I'm hoping he plays against Liverpool because he likes to play against Trent as well as an Emery owner. So I'm hoping that
It's
happens.
very good. A couple of runs he took, the
Yeah.
free kick as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Freedom.
Even Asensio was good, yeah, in his cameo. So in general, Villa team to watch on their upward trajectory at the
And
moment.
I
bad
think the
to watch
attackers
him,
are a
no?
perfectly good hold, man. I think against Chelsea,
Yeah.
Rodgers is the kind of player we're going to struggle against. Even Watkins has a very good record against us. So if you have transfers elsewhere, you need to make. You can perfectly
Yeah.
stick with your Villa guys this week. Chelsea at home is not a bad fixture.
Shout out to my boys Pras and Hebo, both of whom who got Watkins. Could have had more also. Looks like a decent hold.
Move
He
on
keeps
to-
pens. I think he's good if he keeps pens. Like otherwise, like the tough fixtures are not that great. But yeah, I mean he's Watkins, man. He is talismanic for Villa. When they score, on the alerts, it's likely to be
And he
Watkins.
chucked him in for 90 minutes, man. I think he only resumed training from Thursday. Straight back in 90
Yeah.
minutes. That says
But
it
there is
all.
precedence for this. You remember
Absolutely.
last 2 seasons? Every time, you remember when people sold him for Darwin, when he had a little bit, if
I
he's
did.
fit, he plays. Like Duran always screwed it up this season. But before that, it was the same Watkins. He plays when he's fit.
Yeah. Is the most important piece of data is he got 90 minutes from that game.
Would that have necessarily happened if they were 2-0 up cruising in that game? I don't think so necessarily. When you are playing against...
Maybe not.
Yes, again, so we can't read
But he
as
played
much
90.
into it. He
It's
did.
important that he played. Yeah, that's all.
Proof is in the pudding after all.
Yeah.
Fulham Forest, we spoke about Fulham's data. Obviously very strong over here. Anything much more
What
to
are the
add?
fixtures like? Palace,
Fixture-
Wolves, Brighton, Spurs. They're
mixed.
decent in.
The mix, I think they get really bad after 30. Let me just load it up over here.
Yeah, so for people that are looking at a 30-30 on wildcard, is Jimenez, because we have to discuss Gakpo options, is Jimenez a bad option for Palace home, Wolves away, Brighton away,
The
Spurs at home?
problem is 27 is a midweek. That's when you might see the Munir start.
Exactly.
Fair. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, I just looked at Traore's price too after that performance. 4.6 million midfielder. Just wanted to say that.
Next
You plan
one's-
to hold Robinson, Zoph, through the blank?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I'd rather spend a transfer on shipping Greaves than shipping Robinson because you can always get an assist even in a tough
Makes
game,
sense.
right?
Makes sense.
City Newcastle. the Egyptian prince came to the fore, and it was very interesting to see how City set up tactically, because Marmoush, I know his position now average showed that he was in the left wing, but they were pretty much playing two up top. And what Haaland was doing, Haaland was playing such a selfless role. He was just creating space for Marmoush, occupying the centre backs, dragging them out of space like the Edison run. It would only be previously Haaland making that, where Marmoush got in behind the defenders. I think he's given them a serious weapon up top. And he's very different from Alvarez, right, who used to do so much dirty work. This guy, pure output merchant, second highest for goals and assists across Europe in all competitions. So he's
On-
the kind... Go ahead.
On corners and set pieces too.
Exactly. I think he's going to be
Like
a
even in the
factor very soon.
first 3 games, he was shooting on sight also. Like the moment he gets a sight, it's almost Suarez-ish. Like he gets a small, and I don't know if that will fly under Pep, but the moment he gets a chance, a little bit of space, he's just shooting. Like so many times in the first 2 or 3 games, Foden and Haaland have both given him the eyes when he's not passing, especially Foden. But remember, I've been a Haaland homo for 7-8 weeks. Remember how I felt frustrated because Foden got the points when Haaland was also being selfless. Haaland has been selfless for a while now. And he's gotten returns, but that position of that second attacker, which was Foden's earlier, now it's going to be Marmoush's. I don't see how it's not going to be his, is the money position in the City team. So definitely, I think he's rivaling Cunha for places in our team at the moment. And people need to look at him very, very seriously, especially if we think City are back, which I think they might be. Like, I think there might be value to jumping to City earlier than others are, because A, you're going to earn value compared to everybody else. And Liverpool's a tough fixture. After that, you've got Spurs, Forest, Leicester. Spurs, we know give chances. Forest, Sells just had 8 shots saved as well. You know, Forest are not the same defensive beast that they were as well. So there could be opportunity here. I think he's a pick.
Especially if they go out now, midweek.
Yeah. That's the important thing. If they go
So
out.
the conservative, pessimistic manager, just one point on Marmoush.
Yeah.
He has not played on the pitch with KDB so far. Like every time he's playing, KDB plays in Europe. So we're seeing him play in the Premier League. If they go out of Europe, it's not like KDB is not going to start a game, right? So I want to see a setup where they both can coexist in an 11. I don't know if it exists. Like KDB has been playing very close to Haaland as well. Now, Marmoush is better for the team. He's better long term. And this is no diss on KDB. He's just been having injuries, getting older and stuff. So I think naturally, going forward in the future, it will be Marmoush playing the support striker or the auxiliary 10 or whatever you want to call him. But I think if they go out of Europe, I'll be very skeptical going early for him because I want to see. And the other thing, remember, you want that player in Gameweek 29 if you're not playing your free hit. So you don't want that. That's the game in which KDB starts. So I would, if I was going Marmoush, I would actually wait until Gameweek 29. Again, play style difference. So I'm just giving you the pessimistic side of the coin.
Yeah.
I would wait until Gameweek 29, see if it looks clear, you've had enough information. Because also Gameweek 30 is a problem. Gameweek 30 after the international break, a lot of people are thinking that they'll wildcard in 31. So they want that City player in 30 as well against home to Leicester. But they play the FA Cup on the weekend just after the international break. So if Marmoush plays the FA Cup, I'm not sure if he plays Leicester at home. So just a little bit of thinking there. Like I would be more comfortable punting on Haaland in 29-30 and then punting on Marmoush on a wildcard if I'm more sure about where things are than actually doing the reverse. That's all.
It depends on how indispensable he makes himself to the team over the next few weeks. That's what we
absolutely true. Exactly.
Yeah. And, while Haaland has been selfless, he's racked up 10 or 9 goals in the last 9 games. So he's on a good run of form anyway. And I quite like the fact that he was captain. Now, though Diaz is back training, it just maybe felt like, okay, that's a sense of responsibility that Haaland has gotten with that team. He's looking to do more for the team as well. So, just thought that was a factor. Savinho also, I think we should have a conversation about 8 attacking returns in the last 5 starts of the league. Finding a bit of form, but like Pras said, we have to wait till his minutes get a little better, but definitely an option or going to be an option by the time Gameweek 29 comes around. When we're looking at a Salah or Palmer downgrade, Savinho has put his hand up to be under consideration now, I think.
Move on to Southampton, Bournemouth.
Yes.
Just also a word on Guardiola. He's amazing. He has to be in the team. He has to be.
And now that City have a defensive midfielder, it takes up Guardiola's stock even higher.
Completely agree. So let's talk about the Bournemouth mids now. I think all of them got 1 return. couldn't really split them. But in terms of what I saw from the bits of the game, Kluivert was very creative. He just had, I think, 0.1 or something XG. Dango was still hogging all the big chances. Semenyo had this one beautiful mazy run he made. It reminded me of the goal that Sofiane Boufal scored at St. Mary's a few years ago. Very similar, just couldn't get the final goal over the Ramsdale saved it. So I think the jury's still out. All three of them have their appeal. But the thing with Dango, and Pras, I wanted your view on this. The closer we get to 30-31, are you worried about Evanilson returning? Because I can't find a clear timeline on his return.
They said
anywhere.
after the international break, everyone who's after the international break is fine for Game Week 30 because Game Week 30 is a midweek deadline.
Yeah.
So if you're wildcarding 30-31, in fact, the reason I went for Dango more confidently last week is because when I got the Everton guys, I was like, I'm wildcarding in 30-31. That whole pipe dream of, I need to get a Semenyo who can, in case I wildcard in 35. When you go double Everton defense, you're wildcarding in Game Week 30-31. So I feel okay with it. Same with Nwaneri, by the way. Saka will be back around that time. I think you're safe till Game Week 30. Or, if you wanted to stretch it further, but I think he's fine.
Cool, let's move on. Anything else here?
Move on.
I think West Ham, Brentford also we touched upon. Let's talk about Boomo. I think in terms of captaincy, the three candidates I have in mind this week is probably Boomo, Salah and Isak. Would that be fair?
And Vista, for me, I'm considering Vista as well.
But you have Boomo also, right? Given the option, wouldn't you always go for the guy with the penalties?
In the reverse game, Leicester, you see the Merino goals also. Like cross into the center of the box, the centre backs are the ones who are really, really weak. So, and what happened in the reverse game, I remember also, Boomo held a lot of width. So, and also I am looking to chase here. So, I don't know if I want to go with somebody that's there. So, I'm taking maybe because he tends to hog the big chances in that team and it's a potential brace hat-trick game. And I just have to take a shot given my rank at the moment. So, that's where I am. But I've been sitting frustrated with Vista and Boomo. Against Spurs, great number of chances. Against West Ham, great number of chances. Just hasn't come through. I'm hoping that it all comes together in one big party against Leicester.
Plus, where you're leaning towards captaincy is Isak in consideration for you? He got a lot of goals in the reverse fixture. I think Newcastle won 3-1. That's still the biggest margin of victory against Forest this season. We can expect some sort of reaction from the Magpies, but I think Joelinton is a big miss.
He is, yeah. And Newcastle are a bit hot and cold, right? Like we have now seen over the last few weeks, the same Bournemouth performance was also very worrying. Look, Man City are a different team, but I'm not that comfortable. Like I don't see a reason not to go Salah, basically. Like it's not got to do with EO or anything. It's just his bloody form. Like he finds a way every single game. How many games have we been saying it? This is not like a Chris Wood thing. He has underlying data. Good underlying data as well.
And they've all come away, right? And most of the biggest horse. I remember when we went against Salah, when he had Newcastle away, we went with Palmer. Salah destroyed it even then.
So I'm not seeing a reason to go against 130, 140% Salah. Like I get it, people who are chasing will want to think differently. But I repeat, it's not an EO thing. It's just where Salah is right now in his mindset. All goals from Liverpool are coming from him or created by him. It's just XA, XG, pens, team top of the league. There's no reason to back against.
Only thing I'll say is like Isak doesn't feel like an option to me given Newcastle's form and given Forest are capable of parking hard. That's all. So I wouldn't go Isak. So if I was swaying from Salah, who's a great captaincy option, no problem. I would go for the explosive fixture in Brentford because there's no other explosive fixture out there. That's
I agree with that.
So I wouldn't go Isak.
Yep. I'm struggling to find anything that's completely left field over there. I wouldn't put anyone off Watkins completely, given how Chelsea are.
Man, Zoph has been so pessimistic on Chelsea on this pod, man. You would think that Chelsea are doing what Man United are doing and Man United are doing what Chelsea are doing.
No, but people who've been watching the FPL Wire for 4 years know that when Chelsea are side downward...
LR and I balance each other out. We're optimistic Chelsea fan.
Don't just give half the side of equation. When Chelsea are like that, Zoph is pessimistic and LR buys a Chelsea player. And that basically, that's why he wants Nkunku.
Oh yeah, that's still true. Yeah. But Nkunku is a better finisher than Werner, right? You'd hope.
Yes, hope so.
But yeah, I think I'm most likely sticking with Salah unless I see something midweek that really puts me off.
Yeah, I would consider going. I'm not made up my mind. I'm like 50-50 at the moment, but a 120 minute from City would put me off going Brentford and go back to Salah.
The fact that this is the first fixture on Friday shouldn't put me off going for Brentford, but it kind of does. When you have the entire weekend of, let's say you get Boomer. Boomer can have great games and get like a 2-3 pointer, man. That's what worries, because against West Ham also he was man of the match. Good underlying data, but sometimes he just doesn't get the points for it.
I'm likely going for a Brentford attacker. I just want to chase.
But you have two already. I don't know if you think like this, but I feel like if they have 6-0, right? You are partying with Visa and Boomo anyway.
No,
just
that's what LR style.
that is, yeah.
You know me, I double down.
I know.
Yeah.
Palace Everton. Is Beto the best Pedro replacement? Good fixture this week.
No. Oh, I just clocked the joke, but no, I wouldn't go Meto.
It's not
I
even
think
a joke now. You have to.
You
say
can't even make
facts.
fun of Man United. It's like, speaking ill of the dead. Like, stop it, man. We're dead. Like, you can't.
I only speak facts.
I know.
Yeah.
But Everton, just the bounce they've had in the Moyes is really, really something. Let's look
man.
at the fixtures now. I think where are Everton on this? Yeah, Manchester United, Brentford, Wolves, West Ham, Liverpool, 30. So up to 29 it's all right, but 30, 31 it turns a little bit. So yeah, not necessarily buying Beto.
No, because Doucouré, I don't know how long he's injured for, and the fact that Enda is injured is a big factor when it comes to Everton. Like Mitchell is not going to gift a goal to Beto every game, in terms of how he got that goal as well. So want to put perspective in the sense that Everton are without Enda, who's their best attacker. It's like Wolves without Cunha in terms of how much it affects their attacking ability. So no, don't go Beto. If you're going strikers, your options are Cunha, Marmoush. Visa, I think, is an option for people who are looking at alternate options with a great entry point this week. Actually, what do you guys think about that? For people that have Gakpo, Vista has got good fixtures, yeah? Leicester,
fixtures,
Everton.
I would say Leicester, Everton, then Villa. Everton, Villa being at home helps, but again, 29-30, it
29-30
really
I don't like. That's
it
the
turns
problem.
really fast.
I don't want to double up. In fact, the move you're thinking of, I'm thinking to do for Boomo. Like sell Boomo in 29 instead of Palmer. So keep Palmer, Salah, Isak,
It depends
and
on
Haaland.
money. If I have that money luxury, that's what I would do as well.
Like have a really unbalanced team for 29 and 30. Have like all the big hitters and then wildcard out. That's the thinking. So I don't want Brentford 29-30 as such. I don't mind it if I have it, but
the thing is with Bournemouth, I still can't realign my mind because that being a difficult fixture for your attackers. I still feel they do give you up chances. The data obviously is good, but every time you watch them, you feel that you can get a chance or two against them.
yeah.
That's where I really struggle. But I think that's about it in terms of the fixtures. We look, I think Liverpool, Wolves, we already discussed to death. Spurs, Manchester United as well. Let's move on to a sleeper plug.
Well, we can actually do a Discord plug
Yes.
and a sleeper plug because there's other things we want to talk about as well. So first, actually on the Discord. So if you would like to join, we have a few competitions that have kicked off recently. And if you want to get access to that first, you need to join as a Patreon at patreon.com/the FPL Wire. That would really help us out and support us. Or you can become a member on YouTube. And basically what it does is, of course, you get access to all the things that Discord has to offer, the team channels, the FPL cave, the match chat and things like that. But we're running 2 competitions. And so actually more than 2, just, in addition to the monthly league winner, the monthly pick'em winner, which I will come to in a second, we're running a Champions League format type tournament. So there are 13 groups, if I remember. No, 16 groups. So we're in the group stage of the Champions League.
Shout out to Kush for organizing
yes,
this.
shout out to Kush and for Karan for basically organizing all of our Discord competitions. But Kush is basically running this massive Excel that I have in front of me. I'm in group 3 of the Champions League. I can see Joshua Tan, I can see Abhishek, I can see Shakir, Sawar. So those guys are in my team. And Karan, you guys are in group 10, I think?
Yes, I'm
in 16.
16. So idea is there's like a group of 10 of us in each group, and then 4 will make through to the knockout stages. There's also a last man standing. It started with that double game week. I think the elimination score was 100. So we've all made it through. But there's many others who are there. So every week a certain percentage of people will be exiting. And so it's just fun. And we're doing this over Discord, and there's a nice Excel sheet running. If you want to take part, like I said, join us. And anything you guys want to add before I go to sleeper?
Just shout out to Discord legend Eno. He's actually the maverick of the Discord, coming up with some great picks.
He went Pickford captain in that double.
Yeah. And shout out to pod legend Hassan, who does the timestamps for us after every video that you guys get access to on the video on YouTube as well. So they both are in my group. So tough competition for me.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So then on Sleeper, so as I had mentioned, there's a weekly content that we do for them, which is exclusively on the app. And if you want to get access to the app, that is on the top right, the QR code. There is also a league that we run. Dude, I forgot last week's pick'em, man. Like I feel terrible. Like I'm out of
You had
February.
a jersey already, Pras.
I know, but I had actually promised the guys after I won the jersey, I was like, okay, I'm going to take it easy. But I was like, no, I will play every single week. So I've lost my top 10 position, but I would say if you want to join, if you use the QR code here, this is for the public league. So we have a public league where you predict the results of every single week. And if you're the winner, you get a Premier League jersey. There's a Discord one as well, which you will get access to if you join us. And that top three every month win a Premier League jersey.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Pras. Let's move on to our bus teams. LR, that's you first with Ahmad on the bench.
Yeah, I've got Pickford, Trent, Gabriel, Munoz, Salah, who's my captain, Palmer, Clivert, Bumo, Wissa, Gakpo, Isak. I'm looking to do either Ahmad to Utara or Gakpo to either Mamouche or Cunha. One of the two moves. And whether I'm moving Emery or not, TBD. But if I move, it'll probably be Glasner or McKenna. It'll be for a hit. And the Ahmad / Gakpo move depends on who I want to wait for more information. Because I'm tempted by Nkunku for Southampton and Leicester. So I want to see how Chelsea do. And even when it comes to Gakpo to Cunha or Marmoush, they don't have the best entry point this week as well. So I actually wouldn't mind just waiting. Maybe I play Mikolenko and just...
I think because the news on Gakpo is he could potentially be back for the City game, in which case you just play him and you save the hit out for Emery.
Yeah, and then Gakpo has Southampton. So I wouldn't mind like a cameo, and then he gets a Southampton game where he's quite a handy differential as well. So all things are in play. Ahmad to Utara seems fair and easy enough as well. So let's see where we are.
You would go Ahmad to Utara, not Nwaneri, or you're saying you might wait for Nkunku anyway, right?
Yeah, if I'm moving right now, I would move for Utara because I think it's nice and obvious and don't need to overthink that move. Only about whether I want to wait for Nkunku or not. That's all. An option is to not take the hit and just play Mikolenko at home to United.
That's one thing I was going to ask about, because Mikolenko is a big dilemma for a lot of people. We talk about when my team, I have to play Mikolenko or Robinson. Because ultimately, I'm not shitting on Man United here. The Everton defense has been good, and you guys' attacking output has been poor. It's actually a decent clean sheet fixture.
Decent clean sheet fixture completely. So even that's an option actually. The more I think about it, I can wait it out and see what happens.
I think if I was in your position, I would just wait for news. If Gakpo is fit, stick with Gakpo, transfer out your manager for free.
Yeah. It's way too early to think about what I'm doing with my team anyway. Captaincy likely Brentford attacker. I think I'll roll the dice.
Cool. This is my team. I've got Pickford in goal, Trent, Gabriel, Robinson in defense, Bumo, Salah cap, Palmer, Rogers, Clivert, Wood and Isak up top. Benches, Fabianski, Pedro, Mikolenko and Greaves. First up, the defense. What do you guys think, Robinson versus Mikolenko? I think Robinson, just because for the attacking potential.
The attacking threat, but I'm very high on Everton defense, as a pessimistic Man United fan would be. They kept Liverpool to 0.6 XG at home.
Yeah, but that's a different game.
I know, but they were good against Palace as well. Like, okay, Palace had chances, but then you have to also say Man United are not
obviously a worse attack than Palace. Yeah. That's pretty much it. What do you guys think?
It's a home game. I'll play Robinson,
right? So the transfers, what I am thinking, I've got now 1.3 in the bank, but now to do that Palmer out to 180 and Joao Pedro to Haaland, I still need to raise about 0.3, 0.4, which I get if I do Rogers to Dango. And then I can just chill till 29, save some transfers and make the transfer for Haaland in 10. So Rogers to Dango is the move I'm thinking this week.
Then I can Rogers doesn't feel like a sell.
That's the thing. I could easily end up now with Utara being outscored by Rogers. But I think I have to back the striker, man. In terms of big chances, over the last 6 game weeks, Utara has had 8. I think Salah has had something like 6. So big chances are all falling to Dango.
It's a Rogers fixture. He does well in these kind of slightly open fixtures. Like if Palmer hadn't blocked a goal or two, there's no way you would have thought of selling Rogers also. So think hard about that.
I know. The thing is, right, I know I have the fattest kid in the sack race, but it still feels rude to back against him.
Yeah. Anybody else who Isak, Wood and Pedro? How much do you have in the bank?
1.3. I'll get 1.5 also next week from slot. So I can go
Who are
straight
you
to
eyeing
Cunha.
up for Pedro?
For Haaland in 29.
Is Mamouche not on your radar?
Can, but ultimately I want somebody who I can captain in 29, right? It would either be Wood or a City player. I still would prefer a City player, I think.
Like I'm as a Isak, Gakpo and Vissa owner, I wonder if people that have two strikers at blank in 29, like I don't think if you have the scope to go Mamouche plus Haaland, it's a bad bet given there's 30 fixture also. Like it's a decent play.
I agree. And that's why I think for you and me who don't have Chris Wood, there is an opportunity to either go Cunha or go Mamouche.
Yeah.
Alongside Holland, not instead of.
Exactly.
What are you thinking, Pras, for the transfer?
No, I was just first in your team. So basically, the path you're taking is you're going to keep Salah and Isak. So play a 4-4-2 in Gameweek 29.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's the path.
Salah,
Okay.
Isak, Trent would be benched. Because I like the Everton fixture in 30.
That's very strong.
So yeah,
Then
Dango, I
in
think,
30,
and I kind of like Dango. I sort of wish I'd gotten him a few weeks earlier. Was very close to. So sort of feels I need to correct that error. There's a haul coming there with Dango. I mean, if I told you that player got 20 points this weekend, it would be Dango over Rodgers, right? The ceiling is definitely on Dango.
While we're talking, Bournemouth miss actually the most threatening player in that last game was Semenyo. In the last two games has been Semenyo. Like in terms
He's
of just
always
pure
threatening.
form.
That's never the issue with Semenyo. The output does not come. It's the opposite of Chris Wood.
Yeah, stick with Chris Wood. Let's not talk about him, Zoph. Like that. This week was all kinds of magic, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Never a bad time to have Wood. Pras, your team.
what an intro to my team. Pickford in goal, Gabriel, Munoz and Trent. Honestly, I was the other day I was thinking, shall I play Mikolenko instead of Trent? And then I came to my senses. Then no, it's fine. But I'm like Everton is good this week. But anyway, I think this will be my back four. Then Bumo, Palmer, Salah, and the double Bournemouth mid. So I don't think this midfield will change until Gameweek 29. And then Isak and Watkins, this shouldn't need to change as well. So either I will do slot to somebody, or I'll do nothing. That's the plan this week. And then I get the slot money next week, and then I can do stuff, or I may not do anything next week either.
Something I wanted to mention on Bournemouth, Pras, and all our listeners should also take note. Ryan Christie, who I think is the engine of that team, probably the most important player. He's on 9 yellow cards. Now, the amnesty is something like game week 31 or 32. He is going to get booked before that, and he's going to miss 2 games.
2 games.
That's going to be a big miss, I think. When you have Brighton, Tottenham, stuff like that, you can manage maybe against Wolves, but those fixtures could get a bit trickier without Christie.
Good point.
How much money do you have in the bank here, Pras?
0.6,
Yeah,
I think. No, hold on. Actually, I don't have much because that's why I had to take a -8. I have 0.2 in the bank.
So it's a save.
It's a save. And next week, I will have enough to do João Pedro to Cunha or even Mamouche if I wanted to. Even if João Pedro drops, because 1.5 plus João Pedro's, let's say he drops to 5.4, I have enough to get to a 7 million attacker. So, but I think more likely information, as long as players are not getting injured, keep pushing out your transfer if your team looks good. I think that would be the way, unless you want to be ultra aggressive, and then you can make that transfer earlier.
I'm waiting to see Arteta feature in the slot.
I may not do it. But if I do it, you know who it will be.
Right. LR, so you're probably going McKenna.
No, probably going Glasner. Let's see now. Actually, I think fixture and form-wise, it's easier to hold Emery than it is to hold Slot, given City's run. But like you say, it depends on how many minutes City play midweek, how drained they are, etc. as well, right? So then Slot becomes easy to hold as well if City play 120. So a lot of things
City are going out, man.
It's going to be a tough call what to watch, that game or the India-Pakistan on Sunday.
You know, like I'm always just generally anti-City, always am. But the whole entitledness of the whole Bellingham thing and the abusing the ref thing and all of that, it's just like these guys have done enough and won enough. Like I think they need a little bit of a like a reality check. It just feels too entitled. Like it almost feels too bullish. Did you read? They said that they could probably walk out of the La Liga and they have 3 other leagues waiting for them. It's a little bit of a mismatch. It's not
Just
something that's
Madrid
in good
things.
taste. Yeah. So like I wouldn't mind to see City win. Like I think like just it would be nice. That's all. And I say that as a United fan.
Rooting for Liverpool, rooting for City, Pras.
I mean, no, I will not be. Like, I don't know what it would be, but look, it is what it is. And I like LR is alienating our Real Madrid supporters or of the pod, but I'm going to be supporting Real Madrid. I want City to be humbled. Sorry to
That
say.
being said, I want City to have no other competition, so that way we can pile into them for FPL.
Yeah,
Purely for
it's
that
just
reason.
for FPL it's great to have City have no other competitions. It's just I don't like that little like the bully is the worst prototype of person that I hate. I spoke to you guys when we were talking about traitors as well. I just hate that personality type. So yeah.
Cool. Let's wrap up, guys.
We have two super chats.
Oh, right.
Let me
Sorry,
read
I
it
missed
out.
that.
So one is Subhajit Bhattacharya. So thank you. And he says thoughts on Bumo as captain. I think we
Discussed.
talked about captaincy already. So go to the captaincy section. Or he's saying play Jimenez or Munoz.
Jimenez.
Jimenez?
Yep. Home fixture for the attacker. Do you see Palace keeping a clean sheet? Good, but ultimately Jimenez at home. Data is strong. I think in terms of the stats, and I'll pull this up really quick before. He's top for shots, I think, in the league over the last few. I think your shots inside the box. Jimenez is right up there. 22 shots
And
inside the
he's
box.
and on pens. Yeah, I would play Jimenez.
What's the next one?
And then there is PC Gamertag. Ahmad replacements. He has 3 free transfers, 0.4 in the bank.
Dango?
So of course Dango is what we have come to as a consensus. Nwaneri is fine if you need the money for other moves later as well, and especially if you're wildcarding in Gameweek 30-31. I think that works. Minte, like Brighton were very good, and we talked about Brighton, similar price. So we talked
No
about
party.
cheap mid. So yeah.
Nwaneri if you're going in that price bracket, I reckon.
I still see nothing wrong with Dango, man. OOP.
Oh,
24
Dango,
attacker.
he can afford Dango, then Dango.
Because Ahmad Dango is still 5.1.
Yeah, very cheap.
Yeah, it's very cheap. Yeah.
And the thing is, the Dango, you look at his live EO, it's actually the lowest of the 3. So in terms of the highest ceiling and lowest EO, he offers you what you need.
I mean, I might have triple Bournemouth mids by Gameweek 29. Like one path that I'm looking at is basically Watkins to Haaland, Salah to Semenyo, and Greaves to your Guardiola. And so basically that will mean that I have all 3 basically, because they're 29 and 30 are beautiful, right? It's as good as it gets.
True that. Any last
All right,
word,
we'll see you
boys?
guys for the team selection videos probably after the midweek games. Not much good luck to you guys for the game tomorrow night because we're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Enjoy supporting Liverpool, Pras and Zoph, and we'll see you next week. Take care, guys, and hit like and subscribe.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Go Rashi.